Lavanya,
Yes, ma'am.
We'll start.
A very
start.
fine and pleasant good morning. The Galaxy of Intellectuals invited guest Mr. Vijay Shankar Sharma, the Senior Curator of National Science Center. Respected Principal Ma'am, teachers, and my dear friends. How different is this morning as we all are here to celebrate our science exhibition. This year, our exhibition is based on different sustainable goals. The sustainable goals are a collection of 17 interlinked global goals designed to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. These SDGs were set up by UN in 2015. We are focusing on two goals: industry, innovation, and infrastructure, Goal 9, and second, life below the seawater, Goal 14.
We live in the country where we remember God before starting any good work. So let us start this program with the Saraswati Vandana and lamp lighting.
ॐ ह्रीं ऐं क्लीं सरस्वती देवीभ्यो नमः। ॐ ह्रीं ऐं क्लीं सरस्वती देवीभ्यो नमः। ॐ ह्रीं ऐं क्लीं सरस्वती देवीभ्यो नमः।
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to call our Honorable Principal, ma'am, to share a few words with us.
Thank you, Naman. Thank you, Lavanya. Very, very well started show. And I must say, and I welcome everybody present here on this occasion of science exhibition where all the participants are here to present their exhibits and their presentation. I would like to first congratulate you for taking this initiative and adding value to what we are already doing. I'm sure it is going to give us all new ideas of dealing with the challenges that we are facing with respect to the sustainable goals which the UN and the entire world is thinking about. I would only like to say that technology and science is everywhere around us, and right the way the platform on which we are communicating with each other is also the baby of science and technology being the offshoot of science. Only when you encourage yourselves and the environment encourages you to get an opportunity to express, to ask questions, and to remain curious. In the morning session, I told the young ones, your junior students, that young children are the most curious ones. For you all, I would say, because you're the senior batch of the school from ninth class starting, I would say you are not only the curious ones, but you also look up to all of your children to be the responsible ones. So whatever paths you choose, whatever you create, whatever you innovate, whichever ideas you give, we unknowingly or knowingly expect you to be responsible, to be mindful, to be innovative in such a manner that you are sure that you are, whatever you are creating, whatever you are inventing, whichever solutions you are providing to the current scenarios or current challenges, they're all realistic, they're all achievable, and they add value to the human life that all of us are living. There is a song in one of the regional languages which has recently come up after whatever is happening in Afghanistan, that today animals are better than human beings. What a shame it is. So I think with budding scientists like you, budding innovators, budding thinkers that you people all are, I think we need to get back our level of humanity. with science and technology into it. So whatever you plan, innovate, and discover, make sure it adds value to the human life itself. And we can call ourselves Homo sapiens once again with a lot of respect. I hope all of us know, because you're all scientists, I hope all of us know what Homo sapiens means. Can anybody tell me?
It is the scientific name of human being.
Yes, but what does it mean, Naman?
Uh,
I'll tell you. The Homo sapiens means the wise man. So once we are wise, it's not important to be a man or a human being in this world. It's important to be a wise man. It's important to listen, to care, to invent, to innovate, to add value. That's what we are here for. That is the agenda for having a science exhibition. So the goals that you have chosen are very critical to the development of the entire world. So whatever you create as future scientists, ensure that it adds value, and you contribute to the world in a manner that everybody ends up respecting you, your country, your parents, your teachers, and you yourself find confidence and you feel good about. Your generation talks about a lot of feel good factor. कि मैम मजा नहीं आ रहा. There is no feel good factor in the class. There is no feel good factor in history. There is no feel good factor in science. Unless and until you enjoy, you'll only enjoy when you feel that you have achieved and you've contributed at the same time. So strike that balance, and I wish everybody a very good luck for the function. The morning session was a blast. I am sure that this session would also be doing very well. On behalf of the chief guest, Mr. Vijay Shankar Sharma, I would only like to congratulate you all and wish you a very good luck. He will not be able to make it for this session because he is busy in a meeting. There's a webinar going on by the National Science Center. If at all you people get an opportunity to look through what National Science Center does and the kind of presentations and exhibitions they organize, you'll be able to add a lot of value to what you have done here. So do give yourself a feedback after everything is done here, and we'll raise the bar every time we think of ourselves as scientists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for so much enlightening us from your wonderful speech. Now, without any delay, I would like to start this program by handing over the session to my co-host Lavanya.
Thank you, Naman. The ocean covers more than 70% of our Earth's surface. They play a key role in supporting life on the Earth, so it's our duty to maintain them. You all are thinking why I'm talking about that. Because now it's turn of 9th and 10th class students to present their activities under the theme Life Below the Water. First of all, I would like to call upon our first participant, Sanchit Kumar, to display his presentation on SDGs.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, respected principal ma'am, honorable chief guest, teachers, and my dear friend. Today, I, Sanchit Kumar of class 10th A, will present a small PPT on the topic Life Below Seawater. There are 17 sustainable goals given by UN in 2015. We are focusing on goal number 14, Life Below Seawater. The UN has given 10 targets to achieve the goal of conserving ocean. Here I am sharing 6 out of them. Target 14.1. Reduce marine pollution. For it, we have to reduce marine debris and nutrient pollution. Target 14.2. Protect and restore ecosystem. We have to protect our marine ecosystem and also take steps to restore healthy and productive ocean. Target 14.3. Reduce ocean acidification. CO2 level is increasing day by day, is also disturbing the pH value of ocean. We have to reduce the carbon footprint. Target 14.4. Sustainable fishing. By 2020, regulate harvesting and end overfishing. Target 14.5. Conserve coastal and marine areas. It's our duty to conserve coastal and marine areas. At least our target is to conserve 10% of it up to 2020. Target 14.6. End subsidies contributing to overfishing. eliminate subsidies that contribute to illegal and unregulated fishing. We can conserve life below seawater together by following these small steps. Thank you.
Amazing work, Sanchit. What a wonderful work it is. Now, I would like to call Ashwini Pratap from class 9th to present his app. Are you there, Ashwini?
Sorry, I was facing some network issues. Hello everyone, thank you for having me. My name is Ashwini Pratap and I am going to present an application on plastic pollution in ocean. Every day, every hour, we are producing plastic waste, some of which eventually contribute in marine pollution. We all know that plastic waste is a problem. It is a particular problem for the ocean. Currently, approximately 8 million metric tons of plastic enters in the ocean every year. That's enough to line every foot of our coast. To solve this problem, the very first step we need to take is create awareness among people on the impacts of plastic pollution in the ocean. So my app you can also access my app by I have shared a link in the chat box. Please click on that link. I am presenting my screen and you will see it. Just a minute. When you will click on this link, a Google Drive will open. Double click on this projectscience.exe file. Download it. It will ask for if there is it is harmful, but I can assure you it's not harmful. So download anyway. And when it is downloaded, it will be available in the download section. So projectscience.exe. Open it. And this is my app. So there are two sections, statistics and information and facts. When we will click on statistics, there will be two options. The first one is to select from 2010 to 2020, and it will show you the amount of plastic that is thrown into the ocean in that particular year. Like when we will type 2010, it will show 8 million metric tons. That is the amount of plastic thrown into ocean in 2010, and in 2018 this much. And the second option will show us different graphs, like demand of plastic in different sectors, plastic and steel products comparison, and this is the graph, yearly world production of plastic, and many more. The second button, information and facts, is the option in which you can search various questions relating to the problem and solution of the plastic in ocean, like how much plastic is in the ocean, about 1.15 to 2.4 million tons of plastic, and by what year, how many marine species are harmed by plastic pollution. This is the answer. And there are many more questions you can search according to your choice. So I hope that this app will create awareness among people and stop the pollution to somewhat extent. Thank you for your attention.
Wow, what an imagination, Ashwini. We should stop reuse of plastic. Let's give a loud applause for students' hard work. Now it's turn of RN Vishwakarma from class 10th A to present his model.
Good morning, respective teacher and my dear friends. My name is Aryan Visukarma from class 10th. Today, I have prepared a model on ocean floor. So let's start. Material required for my model are cardboards, trees, pebbles, some decorative material, blue gelatin paper, and some handmade picture of fishes. Before scientists invented sonar, many people believed the ocean floor was completely flat surface. In fact, tallest mountains and deepest canyons are found on the ocean floor, far taller and deeper than any landform found on the continent. The seafloor gently slopes along the continental shelf. The seafloor then drops off steeply along the continental slope, the true edge of the continent. The smooth flat region that make up to the 70% of the ocean floor are abyssal plains. At the depth of over 10,000 feet, abyssal plains are the largest habitat on the earth. Sunlight does not penetrate to the seafloor. After scaling the mid-ocean ridge and traveling hundreds to thousands of miles of abyssal plains, we might encounter an ocean trench. For example, Mariana Trench is the deepest place in the ocean at 36,201 feet. Finally, we would ascend tens of 100,000 feet back up the continental slope and across the continental shelf. Thank you everyone for giving your precious time. Have a nice day.
Thank you, RN. It was a wonderful work. Do you know all an amazing fact about a blue whale? Let me tell you. A blue whale's tongue is heavier than an elephant. Isn't this amazing? Now I would like to call Deepal from class 10th A for a TED Talk.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Deepal, and I study in class 10. Today, I am going to speak on the topic carbon footprint reduction. That is my TED Talks topic. Reducing carbon footprint means consuming less energy. There is a country called Tuvalu that has the smallest carbon footprint. As you can see in this picture, there are many cars moving. This also leads to carbon footprint increase. India's per capita carbon footprint is 60% lower than the global average, and the rank of India for carbon footprint is third. So some ways to reduce carbon footprint are: first, you need to live car free. If you will use car as less as possible, then you will reduce fuel use. You should try to use public transport to reduce consumption. Turn off the lights when not in use. You should use renewable energy like installing solar panels on your home. As you can see in this picture, there are many ways to reduce carbon footprint. I am also mentioning them here. Try to purchase energy efficient appliances, like replace the light bulbs by LEDs. Plant a native garden. You will not need to use expensive chemical fertilizers or herbicides. Reduce waste. Purchase items with less packaging or bring your own containers to the grocery store and shops. These all steps contribute to carbon footprint reduction. These all steps will lead to a pollution-free environment and better life for all. As you know, small steps can make big changes. Thank you.
Great job, Deepal. It was mind-blowing.
Now we have Lavanya for her e-poster. Lavanya, please.
Invited guests, respected principal ma'am, teachers and all my dear friends. Myself Lavanya from class 10th of Siddharth International Public School. On this occasion of science exhibition, I am going to represent the model under the theme Life Below the Sea. I have made this model with the help of clay, cardboard and cotton. This model represents the ocean life with various diversities such as crabs, fish, jellyfish, starfish, octopus, dolphin, seahorse, etc. I think the life below the sea is as much beautiful as the life above the sea. As we all know, the ocean covers roughly 71% of the Earth's surface. There is an abundance of weird and wonderful life forms under it. Million species of animals and plants living under the but most of them, approximately 95%, are invertebrates, such as jellyfish, and shrimp sea animals like zooplankton, which are so small that they can only see through a microscope. The largest mammal ever to live on the earth is an ocean mammal called blue whale. Do you know? There are more than 33,200 species of the fish discovered till now living in the ocean. Most of the tiny algae called phytoplankton, which produce about half of the oxygen that most of the human and other creatures breathe. Ocean ecosystem is not only dependent on the sun. These creatures are powered by minerals and chemicals released at the vents. But nowadays, ocean, seas and marines are getting polluted. All species under the marine are struggling for their life and are getting endangered. So there is a need to protect the ocean and its habitat. The main reason behind the ocean and sea pollution is the people residing on the land, increasing tons of the garbage, use of plastic, carbon footprinting, ocean acidification are the main cause of ocean pollution. So there is a need to protect them as the underwater world increases the beauty of the nature. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Lavanya, for handling both the work very beautifully.
Now I would like to invite Saksham Pandey from class 9th A to present his website.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Saksham Pandey from class 9th. Ma'am, can I screen share? Hi, everyone. So I have created this website. One sec. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So I've created this website on the topic Heaven of Life in the Oceans. Basically, this website is about sea life, the aquatic animals living in the oceans. This website will take you 150 meters deep into the ocean. This website will explore more about the fishes which live there, their diets, and the regions they preferably live in, and their lifespans. So let's begin the adventure. Into the depths. 30 meters deep into the ocean. First, we have Atlantic salmon. Atlantic salmons eat other smaller fishes. Atlantic salmons typically live in water, temperatures between 0 to 20 degrees Celsius. Their lifespan varies from 2 years to 7 years. Next, we have manatees. In spite of their size, manatees have relatively little body fat. Manatees cannot tolerate temperatures below 20 degrees Celsius. They are found in the tropical and subtropical waters. Manatees eat seagrasses, weeds, and algae. Their lifespan is up to 60 years. Next, we have staghorn coral. Staghorn corals are found in the shallow waters, ranging from 15 to 60 feet. They can be found in water temperatures from 65 Fahrenheit to 88 Fahrenheit. Their lifespan varies from 4 years to 7 years. Next, we have polar bears. Polar bears live on land. They prefer to eat seals, which they hunt down by swimming in the Arctic oceans. Their lifespan can be from 25 years to 30 years. 60 meters deep, we have clownfishes. Clownfishes prefer to eat small invertebrates and algae. They live in temperatures ranging from 72 Fahrenheit to 78 Fahrenheit. Their lifespan varies from 2 years to 5 years. Velvet crab. They prefer to eat shrimps, fish, and prawn. However, clams, worms, and sea snails are also a great opinion for me. The velvet crab lives from the southern Norway to western Sahara in the North Sea and in North Atlantic Sea as well, as in the western parts of the Mediterranean Sea. Their lifespan varies from 2 years to 4 years. Blue tang. Blue tang prefer to eat plankton and algae. These fishes typically live in temperatures ranging from 23 degrees to 27 degrees Celsius. Their lifespan varies from 8 years to 20 years. Leafy sea dragon. These sea dragons inhabit temperate coastal waters of southern Australia, where water temperatures are seasonally between 13 to 19 degrees Celsius. They live among rocky reefs, sand patches close to the reefs, seaweed beds, and seagrass meadows. They feed on shrimp, a favorite food, and other small creatures and planktons. Their lifespan varies from 5 years to 10 years. Spiny dogfish. Spiny dogfish eat crabs, squids, octopuses, jellyfishes, smaller sharks, sea cucumbers, and shrimps. Spiny dogfish are found in the North Atlantic and North Pacific Oceans, mostly in the temperate and subarctic areas. They prefer water temperatures from 45 degrees Fahrenheit to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Their lifespan varies from 35 years to 40 years. 100 meters deep. Mahi mahi. These are found near the surface and live in water from 77 degrees Fahrenheit to 84 degrees Fahrenheit. They eat a wide variety of species, including small pelagic fish, tuna, and invertebrates. Their lifespan is 7 years. Flounder. The flounder dwells at the bottom of oceans and seas near docks, bridges, and coral reefs. Its main area of occupancy includes the tropical and temperate waters along the coasts of Europe, North America, Africa, and Asia. Their lifespan varies from 12 years to 14 years. Beluga whale. Here's a picture of the beluga whale. Beluga whales live in the Arctic oceans. Belugas are usually found in shallow coastal waters during the summer months. Their diet consists of octopus, squid, crabs, shrimps, clams, snails, and sandworms. They also eat a variety of fish, including salmon and cod. Their lifespan ranges from 30 years to 50 years. The great barracuda eat fishes such as jacks, grunts, groupers, snappers, small tunas, mullets, killifish, herons, and anchors. They prefer to live around coral reefs where the water temperature is between 74 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit. The lifespan varies from the lifespan can be up to 14 years. Orca or the killer whale. Orcas are apex predators, meaning they're at the top of their food chain. They feed on the fish and squid like other tetrad whales do, but they will also target seals, seabirds, and even whale species far bigger than themselves. Killer whales are the largest dolphin species. Killer whales live in any ocean between 0 degrees Celsius and tropical water temperature. The depth of the ocean doesn't really affect them. They have been known to enter rivers. Killer whales travel in pods, which normally consist of mother and her offspring. Their lifespan can be from 45 years to 50 years. All the information and images present in this website are taken from Google. Thank you.
It is really a knowledgeable website, Saksham. Outstanding work. Put your hands together for motivating our students.
Thank you.
Now it's turn of Abhay Shukla for his DIY presentation.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I am Abhay Shukla from class 9th A. I am presenting my DIY on the topic how aquatic organisms use dissolved oxygen from water. So for this activity, I will take some ingredients and it is just coffee, one empty glass, one glass of water, one rubber band, and in last I will take a filter paper. So first of all, I mix a coffee in a glass of water. In here, I completely mix the coffee in a glass of water. So in second step, you have to place a filter paper on an empty glass and pour the coffee solution on it. Now here, coffee representing dissolved oxygen and the filter paper representing gills. So aquatic organisms take dissolved oxygen through their gills and rest of the water is removed out. So that is the whole process in respiration in aquatic organisms. As we human have lungs for gaseous exchange, but aquatic organisms have gills except whales and a dolphin. So thank you everyone. I hope you like my activity presentation.
Excellent presentation, Abhay. Now I would like to call Krish Malik for video on dangerous fishes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Krish Malik, and I'm from class 10. Hello, friends. I'm Krish Malik from class 10. Today, you will know about world most dangerous species. My project name is Dangerous Fish Below Sea, Under Sea. First, stonefish. The stonefish is most famous fish in ocean, and many people have died after getting stung by one. The biggest danger is accidentally stepping on one since they are almost invisible at low tide. Needle sharp spines can inject toxic venom that cause pain and potential even death. Second, piranha. The piranha, a species native to San Francisco River in Brazil, are also dangerous to humans. Most species of piranhas, however, never kill large animals, and piranha attacks on people are rare. Although piranha are attacked to smell of blood, most species faint more than they kill. Piara, the vampire piara fish does not pose an actual danger. If you're thinking about a man killing fish, it is the fact that the parrotfish do not kill an human being. They appear horrifying, however, when killing other fishes. Moral eel, one of the most dangerous fish in sea. The moral eel is which, when disturbed and will attack humans, the jaws of moral eel are equipped with strong, sharp teeth, enabling them to seize, hold their prey, and inflict serious wounds. There are more than 80 species of moral eel. The blue shark. They prefer shallow coast water, which means they can often into coast with human. Bull sharks are often considered to be most dangerous shark to humans because of their aggressive tendency and ability to migrate upriver. However, shark attacks are extremely rare. Thank you.
Cherishable performance, Krish. It was awesome. Now I would like to invite Nimesh from class 9 to show his model of submarine.
Thanks for calling me.
Class 9th and
Good
I
morning,
will share and
everybody.
explain my
I'm
model,
Nimesh from
which
class
is a
9.
submarine. So here's my model. I have made it with PVC pipe for main body and three thermocol pieces for ending, starting and the top, and this straw. It's not sonar pole. So and then I have put in my battery and it. So if I stick these two wires which are below the submarine, so the fan will start rotating like this. Okay, so this submarine is Calvary class submarine, India's first submarine made in 1567. So now I will explain about it more. So the material I used in my project are PVC pipe, thermocol, straw, battery, motor, fan, and a spray can paint. The submarines were made around 1578 by William Brownie, but the world's first working prototype was built by Cornelius Drebbel, who was a Dutch polymath. Submarine was a watercraft, which was first became a major factor in navy of almost every country. They are mostly used as a research tool that allows scientists to travel deep into the sea and study deep water sea life. It weighs around 15.6 tons with a length of 170 meter and travel with the speed of 56 km per hour. Submarines are usually made of steel, aluminium, titanium, acrylic, plastic, and glass. So, my second point is how does submarine navigates? They uses a system called sound navigation and ranging, also known as sonar system. Active sonar emits pulses of sound waves that travel through the water, reflects off the target, and return to the ship. They also use it to detect other submarines. It can carry up to 50 to 150 passengers. Submarines were first used on September 7, 1776 during the Revolutionary War. From then, they are also being used in the underwater wars. They release missiles by navigate the opponent ship. The largest submarines are 941 Akula designed by NATO class, which is a Russian ship. India's first submarine were Kalaveri class submarine, which was built in 1976. So that's all about submarine. Thank you for listening me.
Good efforts, Nimesh. It was exceptional performance. Now I want to tell you one more interesting fact that crabs have taste buds on their feet. Give a big round of applause to cheer and encourage our participants. Now it's turn of Sunidhi and Bhavya for presenting their animation on life below Marina Trench.
Good afternoon, respected principal ma'am, teachers, and my dear friends. I am Sunidhi of class 10th B, and today I had made animation which is made by me and Bhavya Joshi of class 9th A, and I hope you all will like it.
Hello guys, I am Tom and I hope you all are fine. So today I am going to show you all the life present in the Marina Trench. So let's begin our journey and I hope you all will enjoy this and also gain knowledge about Marina Trench.
First mile starts from 40 meters, which is the maximum depth allowed for scuba diving. At 93 meters, the wreck of Lusitania was discovered, and at 100 meter, diving can become seriously fail. At 443 meters, we would reach the height of the Empire State Building underwater. And a little further down, at 500 meters to the surface, this is the maximum dive of Blue Whale and also US Seaworth class submarine. At 535-meter maximum dive depth of penguins. At 830-meter would be the height of Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the tallest building in the world. Once we hit 1000-meter below the surface, we enter into the scary zone. Sunlight does not reach on this part, so the rest of the part is surrounded in permanent darkness. And here we found giant squid. At 1280 meters, we reach the maximum depth dive by leather and sea turtle. And further down at 2000 meters, we would be able to see most terrifying creatures like black dragonfish. There's two darkness and it would not be visible. So we need a flashlight to see. A little further down at 2250 meters, maximum depth, dive by sperm whale and colossal squid. Further down at 3800 meters, we would find the rest of RMS Titanic. At 4000 meters, we entered into the abyssal zone. There found extraordinary like nature like plankton, anglerfish, and viperfish. At 4,267 meters is the average depth of the ocean, where you would not expect to hit the floor, but there are the parts of the ocean that are people pass. At 4,791 meters, we found rest of battles. At 6,000 meters, Adder zone begins. At 6,500 meters, we would find TSV Albion, which help us to discover Titanic. We further down at 8,848 meters below the surface. We have the height of Mount Everest, upside down, underwater. And we further down at 10,898 meters, we arrive at the depth reached by James Cameron in 2012 during the Deep Sea Challenger mission. The deepest point of the ocean yet reached by humans was at 1960 when two men, John Walsh and Jacques Pichard, reached the depth of 10,960 meters using their traced submarine. They stayed there for 20 minutes only. As window of their submarine flagged, and they decided to reach the surface. Just a bit further down at 10,972 meters, we reach the height of which we see from the window of airplane. The rest part is not discovered yet, and we don't know what will be the creatures present in these stacks.
Super work, Sunidhi. Now I would like to call Gyanshu for displaying his model.
Gyaneshu, your voice is not audible, beta.
Hello and good morning everyone. My name is Gyanshu Kushwa from class 9A. Today I am going to show my model on how to save life below water from pollution. My model is basically a boat which is made up of cardboard, waste plastic bottle, battery and motor. My boat has a purification system same as the RO purifier at our homes, which purifies water so we can drink it. In the same way, my boat purifies polluted water to clean water. My boat has a suction pump at its backmost bottom. It sucks the water from the lower tube and releases the clean water from the middle tube. It's true it cannot clean the whole sea, but it's just a little effort we can provide to save the life below water, as we are the one responsible for the pollution. Thank you.
Well done, Gyanshu. Great work. We have a play on life below the sea by students of class 9th and 10th. Please welcome them with a big round of applause.
Participant of the play, please keep your camera on. May I start? Yes. Greetings everyone. I am Nikunj Verma from class 9th and narrator of this event. Going to organize the event with help of my friends. This is a big announcement that today's meeting will deal a very important topic. Stephen, the blue whale.
G-Day everyone. I am from Australia.
Is holding the largest aquatic meeting today with Kim the turtle.
Hello everyone, I am Kim and I am from Sweden.
Sharkira the shark.
Bonjour everyone, I am Shakira and I am from France.
Nemo the clownfish.
Ciao everyone, I'm Ritika, the clownfish.
Sissy the dolphin.
Hello everyone, I'm Sisi from Korea.
Carol the coral reef.
Hello everyone, I am Carol from Germany.
Draco the octopus.
Hola everyone, myself Draco and I am from Spain.
And Eva the squid.
आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार. I am from India and I am Eva.
It's my pleasure to welcome you today to a very important topic, that is how humans are destroying our home. Let's get started by discussing what humans are really doing to our natural surroundings.
Greetings everyone, my name is Kim and I could hold my breath for a long time and can smell with my throat.
Your presentation is enough to get the ball rolling, and I think no one is interested in your abilities. And you can start, Mr. Kim.
I would like to use the opportunity to present one important issue concerning oceans, not just us, but also humans. There are thousands of marine animals who become entangled in plastic waste every year, leading to injuries and infections. Seabirds, turtles, fish, and whales perceive plastic waste as food because it has similar color and design to their prey, and they suffer from lacerations and reduced swimming ability. Humans are also not immune to this threat. They eat the sea animal, which ate the plastic. That's all, Mr. President.
Yeah, really, those plastics are bad for all organisms on this planet. Mr. Kim, I agree with you.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
Introduce yourself, Mr. Shakira.
I am Shakira and I am affected by the overfishing done by humans. Overfishing negatively impacts our oceans. It can cause the extinction of certain species while threatening the survivability of any predators that depend on those species as a source of food like meat. And humans use destructive methods for catching fishes, killing the unwanted animals. Not by food only, many sea creatures are killed because of their artifacts. And as being shark, many of us got killed for our fins. That's all, Mr. Stephen.
Me, me too, Mr. Shakira.
Just about yourself, Miss Nemo.
Well, myself, Nemo, and I am friendly with everyone. Furthermore, I would like to address the topic of climate change, which would already have rendered the earth uninhabitable. Oceans eventually soak up heat from environment that makes hurricanes and tropical cyclones stronger and dangerous. The sea's oxygen supply is gradually drying up due to climate change affecting respiration of sea creatures. The effects of climate change do not stop here, there are many more.
It's a concerning point for aquatic life. Continue, Mrs.
क्या है? Fantasy creatures. Friendly, I'm Siti from Korea, and you can.
Mishkat?
And young fellow sea creatures. I'm Cece from Korea, and you can find me friendly with everyone. Hey, those are my lines. Whatever, I'm the most loved aquatic creatures of humans. Furthermore, I would like to bring up the issue of oil spills.
I have experienced this myself too. That's why I moved to this sea. Anyways, you keep going.
Thank you for your perspective, Mr. President. Oil spills have long term impacts on marine life. As a result, oil over time destroys the feathers that are the bird's protective layer. They sometimes inhale oil while cleaning their feathers. Oil can affect health by disease such as hypothermia. The exposure of fish to oil can have various effects on their body, as enlarged livers, reduced growth, fin erosion, etc., by absorbing oil through the skin or through contamination of food supplies. Sea turtles can also be affected by oil. I'm done for now.
I could sense that you all done a great research on your topics. Continue, Miss Carol.
Yes, President. Coral reef supports a huge amount of small sea life, which in turn supports both larger sea life and people, not only for immediate food needs but also economically. Rapid warming of the ocean surface is a primary cause of coral bleaching, during which coral loses the algae that keep them alive. Also, overfishing, destructive fishing practices, or collecting tropical fish for aquariums exploit coral species. That's all I have to say, President.
I also consider the loss of coral reef a bad thing.
Good morning, Mr. President, and all to my friends. I would like to take this meeting ahead, but before that, I would like to mention myself, Draco. Don't consider me the Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter. I am just Draco.
We all know that Draco does not exist in real world. And beside that, could you please continue with your topic?
Yeah, continuing about the ship strikes, shipping and ferry lanes around the world often run directly through the zones where whales feed, give birth, nurse their young one, or travel between feeding and breeding grounds. Whales collide with ships, leading to injury or slow, painful death that have been seriously injured. Population of whales is decreasing because of this. That's all I had to say on this topic.
Perhaps we will lose the whale species in future if this trend continues. Yes, tell your opinion, Miss Eva.
Hello everyone, I am Eva. Squid living in the depth that receives the denser garbage and unwanted substances like mercury. Coal and oil-fired power plants are the largest industrial source of mercury pollution. The mercury is absorbed by organisms on the bottom of the food chain and as bigger fish eat bigger fish and then eaten by humans to leading several diseases. Big metal, scraps, and the unwanted machines parts are thrown in water bodies without thinking a second time. I am over, Mr. President.
Thank you all so much for sharing such useful information about the issue. You all did a very fantastic job, concluding that not all humans are bad, even some cared for us, but the practices done by humans are depleting our Mother Earth, and they should be stopped.
Bravo! Please give them applause. They deserve for being aquatic creatures. In spite of all these, I owe a big thanks to all my friends who made this event such a success. Without their support, I would not able to pull it. And at last, I would conclude that please save the sea to see the future. Thanks a lot, everyone, for giving us your precious time.
Thank you everyone for your amazing performances. India has a great heritage of science and technology from the ancient era. Many scientists have contributed their work for the progression of science and technology. Now, I invite our 11th and 12th class students to present their activities on industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So, firstly, I would like to call Dia from class 12 for presenting the theme of 11th and 12th class, that is SDG goal number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Over to you, Dia.
Thank you, Naman. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dia Dhamija and I'm from class 12B. Today, I'm going to present PPT on SDG number 9, Sustainable Development Goal number 9. Okay, there must be a question pop up in your mind that what it is. So, let me explain it. Goal number 9 addresses industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Goal 9 in action, explore the targets. A functioning and resilient infrastructure is the foundation of every successful community. To meet future challenges, our industries and infrastructure must be upgraded. For this, we need to promote innovative sustainability technologies and ensure equal universal access to information and financial markets. This will bring prosperity, create jobs, make sure that we will build stable and prosperous society across the globe. The targets. Everyone can help make to sure that we meet the global goals. Use these 8 targets to create action to build resilient infrastructure to promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. Target 9.1. Develop sustainable, resilient and inclusive infrastructures. Develop quality, reliable, sustainable and resilient infrastructure including regional and trans-border infrastructure to support economic development and human well-being with a focus of affordable and equitable access for all. Target 9.2. Promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization. By 2030, significantly raise industry's share of employment and gross domestic product, as we know, GDP, in line with national circumstances and double its share in least developed countries. Target 9.4. Upgrade all industries and infrastructure for sustainability by 2030. Upgrade infrastructure and retrofit industries to make them sustainable with increased resources and use efficiency and great adoption of clean and environmentally sound technologies and industrial process. with all countries taking action in accordance with their respective capabilities. Now, ma'am, I would like to say that please play the video.
Industry and innovation relies on effective infrastructure like safe roads, transportation, clean water, and electricity to function on a local and international level. We all have a role to play in helping the UN achieve its goal to create a world where everyone has access to improved infrastructure, industry, and innovation by the year 2030. Because when good infrastructure is in place, entrepreneurs can make existing products and services even better and nations prosper for the benefit of everyone. Infrastructure is all around us. It's the sidewalks we walk on, the reservoirs that supply running water, the data centers that link us up to the internet. When infrastructure is strong, people are able to connect and work together on new innovations, and this, in turn, creates more jobs and supports a thriving economy. Roads and bridges allow goods to be transported from producers to retailers. They enable people to get to work when roads are in good condition and adequately serviced. Economies run smoothly. When the tropical storm Nate hit the South American countries of Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Honduras in 2017, flash floods and landslides damaged countless roads and bridges, making it difficult for relief to make its way to where it was most needed. Lots of businesses were affected, meaning the economies of those countries suffered too. Communities with damaged infrastructure can remain without water and electricity for weeks or months after a natural disaster. But they can also bounce back, as was the case in the Chinese province of Sichuan, which was devastated by an earthquake in 2008, but hosted the Olympics just 3 years later, thanks to an investment in the region's infrastructure.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Connectivity is enabling citizens to exchange money person to person, making it possible for farmers to conduct direct transactions with retailers using mobile money apps like M-Pesa. In India, national, state, and local governments are committed to boosting rural development by collaborating on the Smart Village initiative. They're transforming underdeveloped villages into model villages by investing in sanitation, new roads, and sustainable energies. When we have access to good infrastructure, we can innovate, create, and drive industry forward so that everyone benefits together.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, dear, for enhancing us with the today's theme. Now, we are going to start with model presentation. So, I would like to call Divyan Sarvalia from class 11D for his model Smoke Precipitator.
Divyansh, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Can you listen me?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Divyan Sarvaria from class 11th and section D. Here is a model of smoke precipitator that I made to show you its uses and how it actually works. To make this model, I basically need a PVC pipe, a empty water bottle, DC motors, and wires to connect it all. It is basically powered by two 9-watt batteries where you can find it easily in the stationery shops. Let me show you how it actually works. Here, as you can see, all the smoke is being pumped in by the motor in the front of it, and then the other motor is directing it to somewhere else. A smoke precipitator is basically used in different kind of industries, kitchens, and offices. It can provide a proper ventilation to a room, and in the kitchen, the smoke precipitator basically used to take off the heat from the kitchen and to the smoke which is caused due to the cooking of food. In industries, as we know, there are harmful gases that needed to be removed from the place for a proper environment for the workers working there. So a smoke precipitator is an easy solution to that, as it can divert the harmful smoke from the area. In offices, smoke precipitator can provide a proper ventilation, and in the cases such as a fire breakdown, a smoke precipitator can be helpful. The bigger industry use a modified and much better version of a smoke precipitator. After telling this all to you, I would like to thank you all, and I hope you find it interesting.
Thank, thank you. Thank you, Divyansh. Now, I would like to call Mohammed Aram from class 11B for his oxygen concentrator.
Hi Reno teachers, I am Aram of class 11D and I am going to show you my model oxygen concentrator which works on the principle of electrolysis. Now, what is an oxygen concentrator? In simple words, it is a device that supply pure and enriched oxygen to the patient. Now let me show you how it works. Here I use a plastic container box, a 9-volt battery, a switch, some wires and 2 PVC pipe. Here I place a 9-volt battery which is directly connected to the switch. When I on this switch, that current will directly goes to the iron nail. The electricity in the nut bolt splits water into hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen had to went off as inflammable it is. Even a little spark cause huge explosion. So be careful. Generator works, which it is commonly found in hospitals and maybe in houses. It is a very useful device in this time when India is facing COVID-19 pandemic. It is a very useful device in this time. It is a very useful device for a patient who has COVID-19. And I'll show you how to make an oxygen concentrator. Thank you.
Excellent work, Aram. Now, I would like to call Aryan Sharma from 11B for his wind turbine. Aryan, please.
And I am from class 11th B. Today I am going to present my science model, a wind turbine. So I have used a plastic propeller, a motor, a switch, some wires, a 9-volt battery, cardboard sheets and some other decorative materials in it. So a wind turbine works on a very basic principle. It just converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. There is a very large air turbine which is attached on the top of a supporting tower of sufficient height. When wind strikes on the turbine blade, due to the design and alignment of the rotor blades. The shaft of the turbine is coupled with an electrical generator. The output of the generator is collected through the electric power cable. The biggest onshore farm in India is located at Jaisalmer, Rajasthan. The farm generates 1600 megawatts of electricity and it's the biggest onshore farm in India. The wind farms are mostly found in hilly type areas because the wind level is very high there. And it is also found in the states like Maharashtra in Satara district. So it is a very cost efficient method to generate electricity. It is also very eco-friendly because it does not leave any residue. It is mostly found in rural type of areas or village type of areas.
it is very beneficial for these type of areas because it is very difficult to pass electricity to these type of areas.
Thank you, Aryan, for your wonderful work. Now, I would like to call Krish Garg from class 11B for his model
Wait,
Smoke
Naman, wait.
Absorber.
Wait, Naman. Naman, wait a second.
Okay, ma'am.
One more clip. Carry on, Naman.
Thank you, Aryan, for your wonderful work. Now, I would like to call Krish Garg from class 11B for his model Smoke Absorber.
I'm sharing it.
I am from class 11B. Today I am going to present my working science project of smoke absorber on the special occasion of science exhibition. So let's get started. Firstly, what is a smoke absorber? A smoke absorber is a machine that helps us to absorb the smoke present around us in any of the forms such as steam, pollution, particles, etc. It also helps us to get good quality of air only if a carbon filter is fitted in it. In the preparation of this model, I used two 9-volt batteries, two electric motors, two electric fans, one cardboard box, and some electric wires to connect them all. Secondly, what is the main use of a smoke absorber? So, the main use of a smoke absorber is to absorb the smoke present in an interior environment by getting rid of all the harmful fumes, heat, bad odor, and by eradicating the harmful gases. It is also known as an exhaust fan as it comes with a mechanical fan that helps in eradicating the harmful gases and combustion products. I hope you all like my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Krish, for your amazing work. Now, I would like to call Ankush Sharma from class 12B for his model robotic arm.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ankush Sharma. I am from class 12th D. Today I am going to present my robotic arm, which I have made using cardboard, tape, and thread. A robotic arm is a mechanical arm, which is usually programmed with similar functions to a human arm. It can be designed to perform tasks like welding, greasing, gripping, etc. It is used to perform a specific task more accurately, quickly, etc. It is also used to perform tasks like picking and placing the hazardous objects quicker in the quickest and the fastest manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankush. Now, I would like to call Kunal and Ritik for their model wireless power transmission.
Good morning, ma'am. In 12, my model name is Wireless Power Transmission. Wireless power transfer work on the inductive power transfer principle as found in the conventional transformer. coil is very close proximity and contain a ferrotile material to increase the cupping inductive charge have an air gap between the two coils.
Hello everyone, my name is Kunal Malik and I am a student of class 12B. So the process for wireless energy transmission is, first the main voltage is converted into alternate current at a high frequency. At second, the current is transferred to the coil with the help of a transmitter circuit. This alternate current induces a magnetic field in the transmitter coil, and at the last, the induced magnetic field generates a current in the adjacent receiver coil. This is a total how wireless energy transmission happens.
Thank you, Kunal and Ritik, for your fabulous work. Now, let's move on to our debate section on the topic of artificial intelligence. Future we want or future we fear?
Good morning, all of you. I am Kanishka from 12th B, and today I am here in front of you presenting my views in the favor of artificial intelligence we want in future. In the Naya terms, the goal of keeping artificial intelligence impact on society beneficially motivates research in many areas, from economic and the law of technical topics such as verification, validity, security, and control. A decade ago, robots still seems pretty limited. Not so much now. This is all happening really fast. If we use robots and machines, may get reduce the time of work, and they're highly efficient if factories or companies do not harm the nature and they are pollution free. Also, new technologies create jobs in few ways. They are the direct job for the people who design and maintain the technology, and sometimes whole industries built on the technology. By inventing revolutionary new technologies such as super intelligence might help us in eradicating the war, disease, and poverty. So, the creation of strong artificial intelligence might be the biggest event in the human history. Some experts have concerned thought that it also be the might last event unless we learn to align the goals of the artificial intelligence with our before it comes super intelligent. Like when companies can do more productive with less days, can expend more, that can be added new products in the society, and that means consumer can buy more of their products or because of the higher productivity in the less time. If we take an example, we all know about the online shopping, the convenience of shopping at home, wide variety of range, and available detailed information. We believe research today will help us better prepare for and prevent such potential negative consequences in the future, thus enjoying the benefits of the artificial intelligence while avoiding the pitfalls. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Yashika. I'm from class 12th B. Today, I'm here my views on the issue of artificial intelligence future fear. The fast developments in the area of artificial intelligence and robotics may push Earth to a critical state. Even now, the waves of computer parts and other electronic devices are making a great disturbance to our nature and Earth. In future, our planet Earth may go to black from green due to pollution that can happen by the artificial intelligence. Just now, Kanishka said that artificial intelligence will beneficial for economy, but I don't think so. Because of artificial intelligence, in future, everyone prefer to use robotic service instead of human service, and this will be the main cause of unemployment. Even though artificial intelligence is having so many risky disadvantages, the use of artificial intelligence in everyday tasks might reduce laziness on the parts of humans. The awareness that the machine have intelligence will make human to be lazy and to make everything done by the machine. Humans have the ability to think, analyze, use judgment. If artificial intelligence is used for interpreting the human mind and its capability might go to waste. If we give intelligence to machines, they will be able to utilize it to its maximum extent.
and machine intelligent, intelligent than its creator. So there will be a chance of humanity under control machine. There are so many scientific films that represents the negative side of artificial intelligence. For example, if we take film Robot as example, represents a robot going mad against society and becoming a threat to the humanity. There are many Hollywood films representing the same idea. Films like Terminator also represent a robot with artificial intelligence going mad against the humanity. In future, there may be more types of robot with artificial intelligence. Application of artificial intelligence in military fields rise to more sophisticated and user-friendly warfare. With the invention of artificial intelligence, scientists will be able to prove that human intelligence is purely mechanical and duplicated. If this happens, it would break man's view of himself as a unique being. The future of artificial intelligence machines can become even more intelligent than humans. Depending too much on machines for almost application in life. Machines are now a part of our life, so we must know more about machines and should be aware of the future that can happen if we give them intelligence. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jacob Lamdi. I'll look at intelligence. We all know the function of artificial intelligence. It replaces many things in our lives. With love, it is already fulfilling our needs. That is very much in the thousands of also reduce the risk of go fast as example possible human make things go more accurate than a human can do. Artificial intelligence is in full control of human as the other team said that artificial intelligence. So I would like to raise all the ways artificial intelligence is reduced or tackled. He also mentioned the artificial again the imagination of it as we can see all the methods or we want regarding artificial intelligence ahead intelligence works for computing intelligence and you so just enable and
Divyansh, actually you are not clearly audible. Can you please try it again? You can either remove your earphones. Yes, actually we could not hear you clearly. Okay, I think he is having some network issues. Let's move on to next. Next member after Divyansh, please carry on.
Pratibha. Pratibha.
Good afternoon, all of you. Honorable Principal Ma'am, respected teachers, and my dear friends. My name is Pratibha and I am from class 11th D. Today, in this debate, I am against of motion. Artificial intelligence, AI, refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think like humans and mimic their actions. AI takes over repetitive and dangerous tasks. It frees up the human workforce to do work they are better equipped for tasks that involve creativity and empathy, among others. AI can affect humans in many ways, like loss of certain jobs. The consequences among many experts is that a number of professions will be totally automated in the next 5 to 10 years. A group of senior level tech executives who comprise the Forbes Technology Council named 13 including insurance underwriting, warehouse and manufacturing jobs, customer services, research and data entry, and a somewhat disconcertingly broad category titled Any Task That Can Be Learned. Privacy. AI can be utilized to identify, track, and monitor individuals across multiple devices, whether they are at work, at home, or at a public location. This means that even if your personal data is anonymized once, it becomes a part of a large data set. And AI can be anonymize this data based on inferences from other devices. Environmental impact. AI can be utilized to identify. Sometimes we don't think about the environmental impacts of AI. We assume that we are using data on a cloud computer to train an algorithm, and then the data is used to run recommendation engines on our website. However, the computer centers that run our cloud infrastructure are power hungry. Training in AI, for example, can create 17 times more carbon emission than the average American does in about a year. And legendary physicist Stephen Hawking shared this warning: success in creating effective AI could be the biggest event in the history of our civilization or the worst. So, we cannot know if we will be infinitely helped by AI or ignored by it and sidelined and convincingly destroyed by it. AI never use and its human-like ability, its potential to be more powerful in the future is evident and rapidly growing. However, it's reasonable for mankind to be alarmed that AI replace professionals such as teachers, engineers, and lawyers. Also, the possibility of AIs to be weaponized and used for social control is not something to ignore. And in the end, I want to contradict a statement said by Divyansh that the AI reduces the risk of human life at the condition of disposal of bombs. But actually, bomb disposal is one of the most hazardous, where the risk of death lurks with every move. Thank you.
A very good morning to all my teachers and my dear friends. Myself Sakshi Tejan from class 11, 12B. And for today's debate, my topic is artificial intelligence. Will it be good for future or not? As far as artificial intelligence is concerned, majority of the population of 21st century is overwhelmed and are totally dependent on the facilities that is given by AI. Basically, AI is the ability of a computer to learn and think. The advantages of AI are enormous and can revolutionize any professional sector. Firstly, AI is available 24/7. An average human will work for 6 to 8 hours a day, excluding the breaks. But by using AI, we can make machines work 24/7 without any break. For instance, educational institutes and helpline centers are getting many queries and issues which can be handled effectively and efficiently 24/7 using AI. Faster decisions. Using AI and technologies, we can make machines take decisions faster than the human. AI-powered machines works on what it is programmed and delivers the way faster. Like we all have played chess games in the Windows, it is nearly impossible to beat CPU in the hard mode because of the AI behind that game. Daily applications such as Apple Series, Google's OK Googles are frequently used in our daily routine, whether it is for researching a location, making a phone call, or replying to a mail. Around 20 years ago, when we are planning to go somewhere, we used to ask a person who already went there for the directions. But now we all have to do is say, okay, Google, where is Telangana? It will show us the location on Telangana map, on Google Map and best path between you and Telangana. As at last, as Pratibha has mentioned that AI decreases the employment level, but as we all know that our country is a developing country, it is not fully developed yet. So I think saving the time by using AI and instead of by using human in each and every field of work has enormous benefits, and it is the major factor that will help us in leading to a fully developed country in a short passage of time. Thank you so much.
Aryan?
Am I
Go on.
audible?
Yes.
Good morning to all the respected teachers, our principal ma'am, judges, and my dear friends. My name is Aryan Sharma, and today I am going to speak against artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence refers to the stimulation of human intelligence in a machine that is programmed to think like humans to react like humans. But this programming can easily lead to destruction if the implementation of machines powered by AI got into wrong hands. The results are hazardous for human beings. As Sakshi said that AI is 24/7 available, and she said that it is a very good thing. But totally depending upon it and not using our brain, our body can make us lazy. People become less physically active when the machine started doing manual work, and a sedentary lifestyle ends with gaining weight, which can lead to many diseases, many type of diseases like hypertension, coronary heart diseases, diabetes, and many more. So 24/7 availability of AI is not that good as we think. And if we talk about the decisions made by AI, so it also has some downgrades too. Now I will tell you about some real life incidents where AI failed. First, in 2018 Arizona, a fatal accident came as a result of the automated Ubers not having the capability to classify an object as a pedestrian. This was not the first time when AI failed. Medical specialists and customers identified multiple examples of unsafe and incorrect treatment recommendations, including one case where the AI system suggested that doctors should give a cancer patient with severe bleeding a drug that could worsen the bleeding. After listening all these facts, how can someone believe on a machine? Artificial intelligence is gradually wiping out the human touch, not only labor-intensive jobs but creative jobs like journalism. Threat during owing to its outreach and these downgrades of AI are fatal. From my perspective, AI is a good thing, but it should be in limit. We cannot fully depend on it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. But we all would like to hear Divyansh Sarvaria again, for as his network was not good. Divyansh, if you are comfortable for it.
Am I audible?
Yes, Divyansh.
Yes, now you are.
Okay. Yes, I would like to speak again about my points. So, shall I start?
Yes, go on, Divyansh.
Okay, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Divyan Savaria from class 11th and section D. I'm in totally favor with the artificial intelligence, the future we want. As we see, the position of artificial intelligence can't be replaced by uh, anything else in our life. Artificial intelligence have already replaced everything in our lives. As we all know, artificial intelligence is going to bring more changes than anything else has ever done. Artificial intelligence also reduces the risk to the human life in various cases, such as defusing a bomb. Or artificial intelligence also makes things go faster. For an example, I would like to take a computer exam. A computer program is faster than a human mind, so it makes things go faster and more accurate. Artificial intelligence also helps us to go to the places which are further. Artificial intelligence also helps us to reach the places which are further reach. For example, I would like to take the satellites and the robots go to the places where human normally can't reach. As the other team member Yashika said, the AI waste from AI can harm our Earth. So I would like to raise the fact that waste from the artificial intelligence is mostly reduced and reused. All the activities regarding AI is in control of human beings. So, uh, so the fact like AI controlling humans is just a fiction or thinking of a movie creator. While going further, I would like to tell you that artificial intelligence can work and already works 24/7, and it always provides the correct suggestion to our needs. Artificial intelligence lacks emotions, so it doesn't even argue no matter what task we ask it. Most other businesses use artificial intelligence to most important works, for example, money transaction and keeping of various important information. Well, now I would like to end it, and according to me and my team, the future with AI is all we what need.
Thank you, Aryan, and all of you for your contribution. Now, our last participant is also eagerly waiting for his model. Now, I would like to call Aryan from 11B to present his model.
Greetings everyone. My name is Aryan and today I am going to present you my model about the importance of earthquake alarm and earthquake. Before moving forward to the model, let us understand what causes the downfall of buildings and life during earthquake. As we all know that throughout the history we built impressive structures and cities only for them to encounter the forces of nature. And earthquakes are one of the Earth's most destructive forces. The seismic waves throughout the ground can destroy buildings, take lives, and cause tremendous amounts of money to loss in repair. Over the past few decades, engineers have introduced new designs and building materials to better equip buildings to withstand earthquakes. And as we all know, in my model, I used the counter forces with damping. It is the method which can be used absorbers, reduce the magnetic of shock waves, and help buildings slow down. And let us move forward to my model. And as you can see, this is my model, and in which I made an earthquake alarm, which can be through the seismic waves of earthquake. And also, this is the building that I made, which is the seismic rocks which absorb the earthquake waves. And this
Aryan,
is
your
also
video
the
is
old
on.
building, which can
He is
made
showing it from
from
another ID,
brick.
so you can pin it up if it's not visible on the screen. He's
Yes, ma'am.
using another
And
ID.
now I should show you the way of the working model. As you can see that this is the model of the buildings, two buildings, and there's modern architecture which we can make through the rocks. And as we start the earthquake waves, we can see how the earthquake occurs, and the beeping occurs through the earthquake alarm, and this building stays in position while the other building completely destroys. And as we all know that through the earthquake alarm and through the building seismic rocks, we can save many lives through the earthquake. Thank you everyone. If you can understand my model.
Excellent.
Thank you, Aryan. Dear audience, please cheer the participant with a big round of applause. Thank you, everyone. Now let us end this event with some fantastic glimpses of Eureka Science Club activities.
I'm sharing screen.
Wow. Wow, those were really some awestruck presentation. Thank you, Eureka Club, for the marvelous video. Now, I would like to call our principal ma'am again to appreciate all the participants and our audience for being so supportive to us.
Thank you, Naman, for calling me again. I don't think this requires appreciation. I think it requires big applause and a lot of respect for all the efforts the students have put in. There are no words that I can use to describe. You people have gone way ahead of your master inventions that you have showcased, all your models and everything. I would just like to say that don't stop and collaborate with each other. Somebody has created an app, the other person has created a website, and I was noting it down, so Abhay Shukla was talking about a lot of things, but then what needs to be really done was missing. So I was just thinking same with Krish also. Great information has been provided by all of you. I'm looking forward to all 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 of you to collaborate and create something together. Maybe Saksham website could have a link to the app that Ashwini had created. Saksham, we are still waiting for the URL of your website, and we are trying to help you if we could make it official. Why not? So maybe Ashwini and Saksham could combine, including all the case studies and all the information Krish and Abhay had given. Sunidhi had given a lot of information about what happens when one goes deep into the ocean. And Sunidhi, I would also like to suggest that next time when you do such an information, also let us know what is the significance of each species. Why is it so important to save the life underwater? That will make all the difference to your presentation. And Saksham website could actually incorporate all these little stories and all these little films and all these little projects that you people have been working upon. The debate and discussion on AI was great. I am a big fan of technology myself, so I know AI is here to do good. But whoever spoke about AI being taking away the space of humans and replacing teachers, doctors, of course they are going to facilitate us. But children, there is something called as high tech. There is something called as high touch. So I don't think anybody can take away the high touch that your teachers will provide you. The human touch will always remain superior than the technology. We have created the technology. Humans have created technology, not the other way around. So don't ever be worried about, as humans, that technology is going to take over. What it can do is, if you use it for all the wrong reasons, then definitely it's going to turn into a Frankenstein So Frankenstein is a small story where a scientist wants to create a mortal going immortal, somebody who will never die. So he went to a crematorium, collected all the bones and all the fleshes of dead bodies, puts them together, used technology, and that Frankenstein at the end of it comes alive, never to die, but he tries to overpower the human. So if you do not put technology rightly to its use, it is definitely going to become your Frankenstein. So I'm sure all of us are responsible scientists, future scientists, as I must say, and all of you will take, technology and, like we say, using IT responsibility. I think your innovations, your creativity should have wings, but please be attached to the roots of your traditions and your fences. Thank you very much. May I also invite Dahiya sir, who is also here, and he will be the best judge for all the presentation today because he is a physics person himself, and I saw a lot of physics chemistry in this presentation today. So, sir, if you are around, please. I see you have already unmuted yourself. We would like to see you, number one. Switch on your video because that's the rule of our online sessions. And then please share your thoughts. Thank you, sir.
I think I'm not able to switch on my video. Thank you, Charu madam, and it was wonderful. I was stuck at ITO, lot of water, lot of logging, and I thought I must go back. But somehow I came out of that, and today my day is made after watching all the programs right from morning 9 to this time. And everything was wonderful, whether artificial intelligence models or heaven of life in the ocean. We haven't seen the ocean other way, but there is definitely heaven of life in the ocean, and it is real heaven. And I think all the students have done a wonderful job. My congratulations to Naman and Lavanya for this session, and Nikita madam, Indra madam, Archana madam was there. Thank you very much. A wonderful job the students have done. Wonderful, and keep it up. Thank you very much. Thank you, Charu madam. Thank you, Charu.
Thank you so much. So, thank you goes to all the science teachers. I could see Archana ma'am smiling the moment her students came on presentation. I could see her smiling and give her special comments. And I could see Nikita putting in clear eye कि ये तो मेरा बच्चा बोल रहा है. So let me hear him out. All of them have done a wonderful job. But sir, the cherry on the cake are my activity in charges who put this all together in a beautiful manner. And not to forget Naman and Lavanya, who have been great hosts for the show. Thank you so much, Naman. Thank you, Lavanya. I am sure you are here among the other 55 members. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend ahead. Thanks, Lavanya. And your presentation was so beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am and sir, for your words of wisdom. Now, I would like to hand over the rest of this session to our respected teacher, Miss Nikita ma'am, to present a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries and amazing audience. Over to you, Nikita ma'am.
Thank you, Naman. Good afternoon, everyone. I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this event a resounding success. So, first of all, I would like to propose a hearty vote of thanks to our distinguished chief guest, even though he could not make it here, but he made it special by his presence in slot 1. So, a big thanks to sir. And also, I would like to express our profound gratitude to our director principal ma'am, and obviously S.K. Dahiya sir, for always shielding us and guiding us to navigate our way through the world. Your managerial expertise always kept us on our toes and ready for the next challenge. Well, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues who know their job and are result-oriented. So I thank my co-activity in charges, Mili ma'am, Nazima ma'am, and Jyoti ma'am, and also our praiseworthy anchors, Lavanya and Naman, for their enormous hard work and efforts. I thank all the participants who have participated overwhelmingly and created a magic in this event with their innovations and creativity. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. Finally, all the beautiful audience here who have gathered in great numbers, I thank you all for your cooperation and patience. So in the end, can we all have a great round of applause for all of us? For all of us. Thank you, everyone.
So activity in charges, our jobs have not yet ended. I would like you to stay back after this meeting so that we can do our own post-mortem for the thing and make sure that next time we are even better and we have things coming up in the following days. So let's stay back, 4-5 of us, and we'll discuss that. And the rest of the members can leave the meeting.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Naman.
Good
Thank you,
afternoon,
Fatima.
everybody. Good
Thanks,
afternoon,
Sia.
ma'am.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Usha ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Aryan.